Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this week's Talk Forex with myself, Alex Ong from Traders Corner and FX Street. So I hope you've all had a wonderful weekend and a very, very happy Easter. And for those of you who have bank holidays today, I hope you also enjoy the rest of your holiday weekend. What we're going to do in this show, as always, we're going to go through all of the FX pairs and basically try and figure out where the markets are going for the week ahead, and hence what opportunities, high probability opportunities there may be for us to take and get involved in. So without further ado, let's jump over to the charts and talk through all of the opportunities. And actually, just before we start, because every week sometimes we do struggle to get towards the end of all of the FX pairs. If there are any pairs in particular that you would like us to take a look at and analyze, and please post them in the chat box. Or if you have any questions, again, please put them in the chat box and we'll try our best to answer everything for you. Okay, so let's start with the Aussie CAD, which is the one that you can see in front of you. The Aussie CAD last week, we were buyers of this. We bought it here, and eventually towards the end of last week, it rallied up and we were able to take some very, very nice profits on that. However, going into this week, if we take a look at the daily chart to start with, okay, what we can see, I'll zoom out a little bit, is the momentum here has definitely shifted. So looking at this on the daily chart, you can see that the market was moving up and making a series of higher highs and higher lows. So it was in an uptrend. However, what it's since done is it broke down from that. It broke down from that structure here. So we've got the market making a 1, 2, 3 reversal. And basically, that's a technical reversal pattern where the market comes up and it makes a high. It then comes down to make a low before moving back up to make another high, but the high is lower than the previous high over here. And then eventually it cracks the structure, which it did over here, and then it just completely gave way to this momentum, which is what we can see here. Okay, so what we need to do in these situations is be a little bit nimble and figure out what the best way to trade was. Now, what we were doing last week is that we were buying into this because, as with all market moves, there's always a pullback. But now that we've made our money from that and we take a little bit of a step back and we take a look at this price action here, it's looking very much like actually the market's turning around a little bit. And the momentum, at least for the short term, is certainly to the downside, as in we don't think the market's going to come down here and then just move all the way up here in one big straight line. It may happen. Obviously, we need to account for that, but we don't think that's what will happen. So we're waiting for the market to pull back to this sort of, well, this level here. We're putting on an initial trade, and then if it pulls back again, we'll put in another trade over here and again up here towards these highs. So this is one of the trade ideas that we've got. We're actually already in this one as we speak, got into it literally just before we began the show here. So we are short from 1 spot 0100. And then we'll be willing to build into that position if the market pulls back another 60 pips and then another 100 or so pips beyond that. The take profit levels are going to be, if we get the move down from this area here, then we're going to take profits at 1 spot 0028. So about a 70 pip move there. If the market then pulls back to this area over here at 101.58 or 101.60, we would then move our profit target up to this area over here at 1 spot 0101. Okay. All right. Now moving on to the Aussie-Frank. Let's pull out of here. Why is that the same? Okay, so the Aussie-Frank is in an uptrend. You can see that is defined here by this trend line that you can see over here. All right, so the market is making higher highs and higher lows. Recently, the trend has actually been a little bit to the downside. All right, this is quite a good one because it sort of shows you what we're looking at in the Aussie CAD. So the Aussie-Frank a few weeks ago, again, we were buyers as well. So we bought from we bought from this area here. Okay, we were buyers from 0.7477, and the market then moved up. We then decided that the market momentum was actually maybe switching a little bit, and this is where you get the pullback over here, then pushes down to this area there. The great thing to do with the way that we trade is it is an active approach to trading the FX markets, even though it's not one that means you need to be sat in front of your screens at all times. It is certainly an active approach to it, and it's relatively short term, so you're in and out of the markets in a matter of sort of sometimes hours, but mainly days, and occasionally somewhere around a week or two, but very, very rarely. So you've always got a number of different positions on that you're managing your portfolio with, and for the most part we're just looking for very, very short-term moves. So we're not expecting the market to do anything significant. So for example, when we bought down here, we didn't say, well, we're looking for the trend to continue and we're then going to wait until the market moves all the way up to this level over here, because we know that that's kind of, it may happen eventually, but it's a bit unrealistic. If we're looking to make money and derive a bit of an income from your FX trading, it's unrealistic to wait for these big moves. So you need to take advantage of the smaller fluctuations. Okay, so by the same token, then when the market came up to this level here and we started selling here, it didn't mean that we needed the market to continue its downtrend and break all the way down here. We're just moving, trading from one level, being this level over here, down to that level there, which is a very, very high probability trade setup. And if you don't believe me, you can go over any of your charts. Just go over to sort of like a 4-hour chart, zoom out, and just let me know if you can find one particular market, apart from the franc pairs back in when the SMB removed the floor from the euro franc. Apart from then, if you could just let me know if you can find a pair that just goes in a straight line. They don't do it. Okay, so you start building into a position and you will make money no matter what. Well, actually, no matter what is a bit irresponsible to say, but you will make money for the most part, as long as you're responsible for your risk management. Okay. All right. So that's that from the Aussie-Frank perspective. There isn't really much that we could trade here. The Aussie-Yen, I'm waiting for a pullback. Okay. You could take a small short-term position sort of against the trend, so trying to buy into the pullback when it occurs. So maybe add to a position somewhere around here, 81.50, something like that, looking for the market to move back a little bit. You could absolutely do that. I would recommend that you have a smaller position size if you do that. But the higher probability one, we can see that the momentum here is certainly to the downside. So what we want to do is we want to get involved in a pullback. Where is such a pullback going to take place? Well, I would look to get involved in this trade. It's somewhere around the 83.78 area, which is this level of resistance over here. Okay, and I'll then build into that position. So I'll be willing to take a trade up here at 85.01, and then again up here at around the 86 area. I'll be willing to take a trade from there as well. So that's sort of what I'm looking at here. Let's move onwards and upwards. The Aussie-New Zealand, I think this is no surprise. We've been trying to buy this for a little while now. It doesn't look like we're going to get that opportunity, but I've been sat here patiently waiting for the market to fall back to 1.0750. It looked like it was going to do that last week. It hasn't done, and now it looks like it's going to rally up to this area here, which I'd really prefer it not to do, because I do see that there's a high probability trade setup here if we can get the market pulling back to 1.0750. If it doesn't do that, c'est la vie. That's kind of trading for you. It's something that we have to live with. If it misses our entry, it misses our entry. You can't chase a trade. You can't start altering your rules for what would constitute a high probability trade or not, just because you've missed an opportunity, because we all do that as traders. It's going to happen to us where, I could look at this right? So when I put in this level here, I thought this previous high, this previous resistance could become support. It looks like what's happening is actually this is the area that the market was paying attention to, this previous area over there. Now, it doesn't serve me to just sit there and move this level and say, oh, that's where I want to take the trade from. That's where I would have taken it from, and I would have made money, because it's not realistic. When I was looking at this, the major level was this one over here. It just so happens that it looks like the market hasn't turned around at that level, and I may miss this opportunity. So if the market pushes up to this area over here, 87.17, without pulling back here, then I've missed my trade opportunity, and which would have been a nice profit. But again, it doesn't mean that I need to go and alter my system. It just is what it is. Okay, moving on to the Aussie dollar. Let's zoom out of this one a little bit, get a bit of context. So the Aussie dollar is very, very much in a range right here. You can kind of play it to the up and to the downside. From our perspective, we've got better trades that we're looking at right now. Okay, so this is not high on our list of priorities of trades to take. However, if we were to be forced to kind of pick a direction, I would probably be opting to maybe sell from this level here. So 0.7607 down to 0.7510. If I was forced to pick a trade right now, but to be honest with you, this trade we actually bought down here when we came down to these lows and took profit on this last week. So we were buyers from the bottom here. And I kind of see that there's a bit too much risk in this trade here. So if I were to sell from here, and then the market would go up to here, and I would to sell from here, it's a dangerous level, because this is kind of like a breakout level. So this is a kind of area where the market could go from one place over here all the way up here in a relatively straight line. So not really pulling back very much at all. It very much could happen at this level here. So from that perspective, it's a tough one to trade. And if there are other trades out there which are higher probability, better looking trades, and they're the ones that I'm going to take. All right. And that's what you have to, as a trader, that's what you have to have the ability to do. Right. You have to have the ability to pass up on trades, to walk away from trades that are less than perfect. All right, the Cad-Frank, we're already short this trade right here. We're short from this level up here at 0.7603. We also had a trade in there at 0.7504. First one went against us a little bit. The second one is going for us. Our profit target at the moment is 0.7504. If we can get down to there, we close the first one for break even, and the second one we close for a nice profit. So there's really nothing that we can trade right now, because we're currently already in this trade. And even if I wasn't in it, there wouldn't be an opportunity anymore, because the opportunity would have been selling it up at this area over here. All right. The Cad-Yen is very much like all of the other yen pairs. We were talking about the Aussie-Yen just now. And the Cad-Yen is pretty much the same. And that the trend is to the downside now. So what we want to see is a bit of a pullback. We'd like to see a pullback to this area over here. So 82.71. That's where we will start initiating our sell trades. If it pushes beyond that, then we'll be willing to add to the position somewhere up here at 84.27, and then again up here at 85.92. The market isn't there yet, which is fine, but that's what we would be looking to do with this pair right here. There isn't really an opportunity to be buying. If you take a look at this on the daily chart, it's overwhelmingly momentum is to the downside. So you want to be selling rallies here rather than buying dips. If you're buying dips, you're just trying to stand in front of a train, I'm afraid, and that's not going to serve you very well. So we will be selling rallies in this pair here. So when the market comes back to here, we will sell. If it comes back to here, we will sell again. If it comes back to here, we will sell again. Yeah, that's the high probability trade setup. Frank yen, exactly the same thing. Take a look at this on our chart of execution. You can see it's gone a long way in a very short space of time. Very nice, clean chart here. In fact, I very, very, very much like this chart here. I'd like to see the market pull back to this area here, 11017. And then if it pushes back, I'd then be willing to enter at 11102 and 11235. Okay. So the yen pairs are all, it's all pretty much exactly the same story there. A lot of yen strength at the moment. And ultimately, we want to be buyers into that strength. So we'll be selling the yen pairs. Euro Aussie. So the Euro Aussie, as we can see here, the trend is to the downside. In terms of taking an opportunity, unfortunately, that was a couple of weeks ago at this when we were selling up at these highs over here to move down to this area here. Right now, there is no trade. We would be looking to sell from this resistance level over here. Having said that, if we get up to that level there, then we are very, very much in danger of having a bit of a trend reversal, which would be the market then breaking up above this level, which basically means that it isn't the highest probability trade, and hence we may look to skip that one and wait for the market to break up here and then kind of buy a dip on the way down. Because what we have to remember as traders is that we have to preserve our capital. So even though there may be a trade setup that might look like it may make you money, you have to think about the risks involved. And basically trading up here, the risks outweigh the reward. So if you were to start selling from this area here to move down to that area there, you're selling from an area that really could become the breakout level. And then you'd have to kind of follow it all the way up to this area here and this area here. So you'd be sort of carrying almost like a 600-700 pip stop loss there, which is a little bit too big. So from that perspective, let's just wait and see. The Euro CAD, we are actually buyers of this at the moment. So we bought into this pair over here. Okay. Around the 14124 level. We're looking for the market to move up to the 14260 level. All right. So not too far, just like 140 pips or so. And if you aren't in this trade already, then you've kind of missed it. But we do like this to the upside. We certainly think that this is going to trade up towards the highs at some point, even though that's not where we need the market to go to make our money. We do think that's where it eventually does go. Okay. But right now, no trade, unless it pulls back a little bit. If it can pull back a little bit and we get the opportunity at 14121, then that's a potential entry right there. But if you get involved right now, you're getting involved 30 pips too late, and you are literally just chasing the trade. Euro pound is a bit of a weird one. It has been moving sideways. Where does this pair go? You know, does the euro continue to strengthen against the pound? So, you know, do we move up sort of these areas over here? Or is this the beginning of the sell-off? As you can see here, we've got the lower high. Well, we've got a high there. We've got a lower high and a lower high still. And it kind of feels like we're just waiting for the market to crack this bottom over here before it starts moving to the downside. So from that perspective, difficult one to trade right now. I'm not sure I have too much of an opinion either way to really warrant taking a trade on this one here. Euro yen, same with all of the other yen pairs. I'm currently waiting for the euro yen to pull back to 11820, where I will be initiating a sell trade. So yeah, I mean, I'm going to wait for it to skip this level here because ultimately it's gone a very, very long way. I'm expecting a little bit more of a pullback than just this one here. So the higher probability trade will be the pullback to 11825 in and around that area there. I will start to become a seller, looking for the market to come down to 11640. All right, so you're looking at roughly about 180 pip trade on your hands there. 11825 down to 1163540 area, about 180 pips worth of profit. And again, just in terms of the why would we be taking this, if you just look at the daily chart over here, you can see that, yes, we had this up move over there, but since then the market's just kind of completely turned around and pretty much retraced that entire move. So the momentum here is certainly to the downside. You couldn't make a case to say that this is upside momentum. It is to the downside, so you want to be selling dips from here. And it's unlikely, again, if you're selling dips, it's unlikely you're going to see the market go, whoops, all the way up, all the way down, and all the way back up again. So I think it's like the high probability, safer approach to take right here. All right. Euro New Zealand, we are buyers of this. We've actually already entered into this trade over here this morning, or our order got us into this trade this morning. If you've missed it, it's a little bit too late. But ultimately, if you look at this, price action over here, you can see that we were in a downtrend. We then had a little bit of bottoming price action around here, and the market has since then broken up. In fact, let's look at that on the 4-hour chart. You can see that better. You see that here, the market came down, failed to get down, broke above structure, so broke to the upside there, and now has pulled back, and it's kind of playing with this pivotal area over here to the left. And we entered in our trade when the market hit 1.5100, and the market's gone with us quite nicely, and we'll be taking profit later on this morning if it can get up to 1.5262. So another 90-ish pips from here, or 85 pips from here as well. We'll be looking to take our profits. Euro dollar. This is now starting to become a bit of an uptrend, as you can see there. We've got the market respecting this trend line, so we would not be at all surprised if the market then moves up to this high over here at 1.0834. The way we'll play this trade is that we're not in it currently, but if the market can break up above this level at 1.0680, we will then get involved in that and start buying the market there. Again, we're not looking for the market to do anything spectacular, right? So we don't need it to break up to new highs or anything like that. We don't even need it to break up above this previous high here. We just need a bit of a reaction. So we just need the market to pull up to 1.0831, and that makes us money. So that's the wonderful thing about this approach to trading, is that ultimately we don't need anything spectacular. We just need the market to do what it's going to do. So it's normal fluctuations make us money. Are there any questions, by the way? Well, since we've gone through all of these pairs here, I can see that you're all very, very quiet. So you're all either incredibly engrossed in watching this analysis here, and you're really, really interested in all of that, or my voice has sent you to sleep and it's so boring that, you know, I can see your names here on the chat, but actually you don't exist because you're all sleeping. Let me know which one that is. All right, anyway, the pound Aussie. So this is certainly a downtrend here, as you can see. In terms of taking a trade, it's a tough one because it's sort of like a breakout levels. So from a price action perspective, you know, I want to be short, right? If we look at this trend here, I want to be short. However, we are at a trend line. Okay, the market has broken out of a trend line, and it's not unlike the market to go from these areas over here and just start to rally. So rally up to this level and that level there. So I want to be a seller from here, but I think that there is too much of a risk to the upside that the market breaks out from here. So from that perspective, I don't really want to be involved. Okay. Right. Pound CAD, it's just a bit ugly, to be honest with you. There's nothing significant here that I want to be involved in. No. No, no, no. Okay, pound franc. We were talking about this a couple of weeks ago. We've got this triangle going on here. Where do we think the market will go? Oops. Where do we think the market will go? We believe. What's going on with this? We said that we thought the market will pull up to this level over here. Pull up to this area here at 1.2641 before selling off back down to that area there at 1.2362. So we're waiting for the market to come up to this area where we will become sellers. Why? We take a look at the daily chart. We can see that we do have a triangle here. We think that we're going to have some sort of a breakout, but we think it will be, we favor a breakout to the downside after visiting the top end over here. So coming up here and then coming down to that level and breaking out to the downside. Having said that, we do have enough structure levels to our left to protect the trade if it goes against us. So we would be sellers here, we would be sellers here, and we would be sellers up at this area over here. And we don't think the market would just kind of go from where it is right now and smash all the way up to this level over here. You know, the pre-Brexit levels, that we're going to have a problem. That's kind of like a psychological level in the market's mind, which is going to protect us somewhat, which is a good thing. Oscar, are those big figure levels? Yeah, they're not big figure levels. They're key support and resistance levels. Okay, and they're based on price action mainly. A little bit of Fibonacci thrown in there as well. And that's ultimately how we derive the levels. Does that make sense? All right, so moving on. We have about 10 minutes left and 15 or so pairs to get through. The pound yen, well, it's the yen pair again. We're waiting for a pullback ultimately on these trades right here. We're going to wait for the market to pull back to this sort of area here at 138.72, where we will become a seller of the market. And hopefully it will sell all the way back down to this area over here at 136.40. So yeah, we're waiting for the market to drop off a cliff a little bit here. Pound New Zealand. Pound New Zealand. This is a tough one. It's a bit of an ugly chart, if you ask me. Which way do you want to trade? I would say we want to be a buyer here. So wait for the market to pull back to around the 1.7761 level. Pull back to around that area there. Then we start to buy the markets. I wouldn't want to be a seller around here. I think there's too much risk that the market breaks out above this level and then starts a monster uptrend. So yeah, I wouldn't want to do that. The pound dollar, same sort of thing. It's a little bit ugly right here. I wouldn't say that I'd want to be a buyer here, but then being a seller presents quite a bit of risk as well. So I think there are better trades out there, better opportunities for us. And from that perspective, we would want to be focusing on those, because you don't want to have too many trades on at one time. What we tend to do is we like to, oops, I saw a message come in there, now it's disappeared. All right, what we like to do is, I forgot my complete and utter trail of thought. Okay, I'll come back to that. Question, any chance you could touch on gold? Absolutely, we can go to gold. Oops. Let's add gold in here. So we'll come back to the pound dollar there. Okay, so looking at gold, I would have to put in a couple of levels here to start with, from which we would like to trade. So what I do when I'm marking up my charts for the first time, I'm basically taking the major level. So that would be a major level for me. This down here would be a major level. This over here. And we might have to cast our eyes to the left here to see other areas of interest. So that would be an area. This over here would be an area to the upside. That's certainly got to be an area you pay attention to. See how easy it is to mark up a chart? Okay. So now that we have that, what would we want to be doing? Well, we want to be buyers of gold, ultimately. The momentum is certainly to the upside. Where do we get the opportunity? Well, we wouldn't buy up at these highs over here. We would wait for the market to pull back. And we would look to take that opportunity. So we would start building into a position from 1264, and then potentially 1240, and then another $20 beneath that at 1218 would be the way we play this technically. Anyway, I know that my brother has a view fundamentally on this as well, although I haven't read his report yet on what that is. But from a technical perspective, which is primarily the way that I like to trade, I would be a buyer of this. I'd say the momentum is certainly to the upside there for the moment anyway, and hence I'd be looking to buy pullbacks. Does that make sense? Okay, New Zealand CAD. We're actually already in this trade right now. We are sellers of this market. We sold it when the market got up to this area over here at 0.9343. We started selling the markets there, looking for or hopeful of a move down to 0.9201. So we're currently already in this trade. If you're not in this trade right now, you might have missed the boat, because we like getting as close to the level as humanly possible. And as you can see, the market's already moved away from that level by a good 20 pips. So may have already missed the boat on this, but we're sellers of the New Zealand CAD anyway. We think that it's moving down to this area here. New Zealand franc. So this is a bit of an ugly one. I would say that we kind of play the range here. I would like to be a seller of the Kiwi franc, but I would want to wait for the market to get up to 0.7161. That's where I'd be looking to take my trade from. So I wouldn't take it from here. I think there's a little bit too much risk there. I would wait for it to come up to this area here at 0.7161, or 60, around there, down to the 0.7005-ish. Okay, Kiwi Yen. Beautiful looking chart right here. Very, very nice harmonic price action. Where do we want to be trading? I think that's fairly obvious. You don't want to be a buyer in these markets over here. You're just setting yourself up for suicide. So we want to be sellers. We'll start selling into the market at 77.64. And then if it gets above there at 78.94, and then above at 80.54, that's the way that we'll play the New Zealand yen here. Definitely sellers of this pair. Love the price action. Very, very harmonic price action, which gives me a very good feeling about selling the market if we can start to get to these sorts of levels there. New Zealand dollar. Okay, what do we want to do with this one here? Let's go out to the daily. Bit of context. See that it was in an uptrend, but that uptrend has since been broken. That trend line over there, like so. The market pulled back to it, respected that level there. All right, which is what you'd like to see. Respected that level, now sold off from it. So what do we want to do? From a price action perspective, you'd have to say that momentum is to the downside. I do not want to be involved there on that. Let's zoom into the 4-hour chart. Where are we going to get involved in a trade? If the market can pull back to 0.7130, that's where I will start to sell this pair with an initial target of 0.69. 0.6979. So you're looking about 160 pip move on our hands there. Most welcome, Oscar. And most welcome, Elite Studios UK. Very nice name. Yes, so that is what we're looking at from the New Zealand dollar, selling from this level here, looking for the market to approach 0.6979, around there. Dollar CAD. We were looking to buy this. The market hasn't quite pulled back to where we'd like to be buyers from, but we think that this potentially really moves to the upside. So we would be looking for the market to pull back to 1.3212 before we can become a buyer. But at the moment, it's kind of hovering around in no man's land with no real direction there. So we'll skip that one. Dollar franc, we're actually already sellers of this pair here. So we can see that the market is moving down. As you can see, we've got the lower highs there, lower lows. We think the market's moving down. We actually became a seller of this last week. So we're already in this pair right here. And we're looking for the market to come down to 0.9960. Which is where we will be taking our profits. I've got a good feeling that it's going to hit that either today or tomorrow. Certainly this week in any case. But if you're not in that trade, it is a little bit late to be getting into that trade. Dollar yen, as we can see here, it definitely is. The momentum is to the downside. However, having said that, I do like the idea of, if we take a look at this pair here, I don't think it goes all the way up and all the way down here. So I do like the idea of buying from around the 10756 level, looking for a little bit of a reaction up here. Then if we don't get that, then buying from 104, looking for a reaction over here. I don't think that it goes down all the way down to these lows over here, going back to sort of like 5-10 years ago, without giving us a little bit of a pullback. So even though momentum here is definitely to the downside, I feel all my preferred trades are actually going to be buying into this, looking for a bit of a pullback at some point in this trade here. Okay, so that brings us to the end of our Forex pairs there. We managed to get them all in, which is a fantastic thing. As always, I'll open up the floor to any other sort of more general questions you may have about any of the pairs or about our trading. I hope you've all been enjoying these Talk Forex sessions that we've been holding with FX Streets over the past couple of months. To be honest with you, it's actually really, it's done a lot of good for our trading as well. Talking you guys through, and girls, through all of our trade setups every week. It forces us to be a little bit more responsible, because we know that even though this is for educational purposes and no one should be sort of following these trades here, we know that our analysis obviously will have an impact on people's minds and the way that you sort of view those pairs anyway. So yeah, but it's we've had a very, very good quarter, which is always a nice thing. So nice start to the year. Some beautiful trends out there that we think are going to continue. So we'll have lots of other opportunities to make money from those pairs as well. Yeah, just not a bad quarter at all. How about yourselves? Everything going well for you all? I hope. Thank you very much, Caleb. I think it just kind of sets you up very nicely for the week. So Well, make sure you tell all of your friends about this then, so that they join next week and the week after and the week after, and we make this the beginning to everybody's week in the FX markets. Okay, if there are no other questions, thank you very much. Thank you. If there are no other questions, what we will do from here is let's wrap it up. I'd like to say thank you to all of you for joining this morning. I genuinely appreciate everybody's support. It is lovely. And thank you to FX Street, as always, for putting on these events here, putting on these webinars. You know, you've got analysis and webinars almost every hour of every day to do with the FX markets, and FX Street provide the platform for that. So thank you so much. Really, really do appreciate your time there. Otherwise, thank you everybody for joining, and I look forward to seeing you all on next week's Talk Forex. So have a wonderful week in the markets. Have a wonderful end to your Easter and bank holiday weekend, if you do have a bank holiday. If you're working today, I'm sorry. I'm going to go for a roast dinner at my mother-in-law's house later on today. I hope you... Oh, Brendan likes chocolates. Says, one very quick question. So the dollar yen should only be sold if there's... Yes. Personally, from my perspective, I would only sell the dollar yen if there is a pullback. I think just selling it right now, you've missed the move, and you'll pretty much get in there, and the market will turn around, and you will be stopped out. So I would only be selling the dollar yen on a pullback now. Thank you, Elite Studios. Fan already. Excellent. Have a wonderful have a wonderful end to your week, everybody. Take care now, and we'll speak to you all very, very soon. Happy trading.